Hello, Year 9. Hope you're well. I hope you're not too discouraged also after yesterday's lesson on trigonometry. It is a really tricky topic, and I don't want you to get discouraged with it. We're going to take it nice and slowly. I don't feel like I went through too many examples yesterday, but I also feel like I did a lot of talking. So I'll try to go through a few more examples today, and hopefully that will help, but hopefully there will also be less talking. So your title for today is still trigonometry, and we're going to focus on finding a side in a triangle. So if you could start with these 10 questions in an exercise book or on a piece of paper or wherever you might be doing your maths these days, that would be really great. If you can go ahead and pause the video now, the answers are going to come up just after that, okay? All right, there's your answers. Mine are in green pen, but obviously you can mark your answers in whatever color pen that you have. All right, and then we're going to start talking about trigonometry again. Here we go. So I tried to draw these little triangles for you yesterday, but again, I think that I was just trying to fit too many things into maybe one tiny video. So we're going to try again. So there's 3 little triangle houses that we need to think about. I'm assuming that you've seen these little triangle houses before in science for speed, distance, and time. If you haven't, really, we will figure it out together, don't worry. Instead of having speed, distance, and time in them, they're going to have things for sine, cosine, and theta. So like the speed, distance, time triangle, and hopefully like you maybe remember from yesterday, the sine of theta, the sine of angle theta, is the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. So that was the one that hopefully you went and practiced yesterday from the examples. Today we're going to focus on this next one, which is the cosine of angle theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And then lastly, which we're probably going to go and do next lesson, is that the tan of angle theta is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. All right, now like I've said, we are going to actually go ahead and focus on this particular triangle right here, this middle one, the cosine one for today. So we're going to keep on using the cosine. So we will go ahead and try one of these questions, okay? All right, we're going to try to calculate the size of the side that is marked with the letter X. Now, hopefully you watched the video from the other day, and hopefully you remember what I told you the first step is. So step 1 is always going to be to label your triangle. And you're going to label the triangle with the letters H for hypotenuse, O for opposite, and A for adjacent. So let's go ahead and do that. This side over here that is opposite to the right angle is the hypotenuse. And this is the angle that we're interested in right here, this 30 degrees. So if I stand right here and I walk directly across, that is the opposite side. And then the last side is the adjacent side. Now, if you look on the opposite side, are there any numbers there? Are there any letters there other than the letter O? I don't see any there, so I'm going to cross it out because we don't actually have any interest in that side at all because there's no information there at all. Can you see the 2 letters that are left? The 2 letters that are left are A and H. And not at all by coincidence, the little triangle that's down here also has the letters A and H in it. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to find out how much is A. That's the whole plan for right now. We're trying to find out how much side A is. So using the cosine triangle that's down below, what I want to do is I want to find out the adjacent side. So I'm going to go and cover up this letter A. So pretend that letter A is covered up, or if you've got your hand at the screen, cover up the letter A. Now, hopefully in the bottom of the triangle, you see the purple that says cosine theta and the H. And what we want to do is we want to go and times those 2 things together. So in order for us to find the adjacent side, we're going to do cosine theta, now theta is just the angle, times by the hypotenuse. So if we fill that in, we've got the cosine of 30 degrees. Now remember, if you're using your Casio calculator, you need to put your brackets in there first, and then times by 14. Now, I can't really do this one in my head, so I'm going to grab my calculator, and I've got cosine 30, close bracket, times by 14. and my calculator gives me a funny answer, so I'm going to press the simple to difficult button, and I get an answer of 12.1. All right, and then that question is done. Should we try another one? Let's try another one. All right, again, so same idea, calculate the size of the side marked by X. So step one is to label the triangle, and we're going to label the triangle with the letters H for hypotenuse, O for opposite, and A for adjacent. So 20 on this triangle looks like the hypotenuse to me. This angle here is the angle that we're interested in, so that must mean I'm standing right here, and then I go and walk directly across. So this is the opposite side, and the side below me is the adjacent side. Now, just like the last question, there's nothing happening on the opposite side, so I'm going to cross that out completely. The only two letters that I'm interested in are A and H, and those are also the letters that are in my triangle over here, A and H. Now, also remember, you can see I'm trying to find side A in the question, so I'm going to cover up the letter A in this triangle. And if I cover up the letter A in the bottom triangle, I can see that I have cosine times by hypotenuse. So the adjacent side is going to be cosine 70 degrees, and don't forget to put in your brackets, times by 20. All right, so grab your calculator and try that out. Cosine 70, close bracket, times by 20. And this time my calculator says it's 6.8. There's lots more decimals, but 6.8 is absolutely fine. All right, we're going to try one last example, and it's going to be ever so slightly different, but I think we'll do absolutely fine at that. And then I'm going to get you to try some of these questions by yourself, all right? All right, last example from me. Calculate the size of the side marked X. Okay, we can absolutely do that. So step one, label my triangle. We're going to label it with the letters H for hypotenuse, O for opposite, and A for adjacent. So X is the hypotenuse, it's the longest side. Here's the angle that I'm interested in, and here's me standing at the angle. And here's me walking directly across. So this side down here is the opposite side, and the 12 must be the adjacent side. Now, like the last two questions, nothing is happening on the opposite side, so I'm going to cross that out. The only two sides I'm interested in are A, because it has the 12 meters, and H, because it has the letter X on it. So this time I'm trying to find H. So I go into my triangle that's going to help me, and I cover up the letter H. And when I cover up the letter H, the only two things that are left are A and cosine theta, and they're on top of each other, which means I have to divide them. A over cosine theta. So let's go ahead and write that down. H for hypotenuse equals A divided by cosine theta. Okay, so the H is a capital H in the question. Okay, if we're getting it from this triangle down here, the H was a capital H. It doesn't really make much difference, but if it helps you. So A is the adjacent side, which is 12. And cosine of theta, theta is the angle, so cosine of 62. So it's 12 divided by cosine 62. Now, if you've got your Casio calculator, you can use your fraction key. So you type in your fraction key, and you type 12 at the top of your calculator. And at the bottom, you type in cosine 62 and close the bracket. You can also use a divide sign. Okay, if you don't have a Casio calculator, you can type this into your calculator as well, and that's absolutely acceptable. And make sure that you keep your brackets closed on both of these. All right, so you go ahead and do that and press equals, and I get 25.56. Hopefully you got the same thing. If not, I wouldn't panic. We'll figure it out eventually, okay? I want you to go ahead and have a go at doing some of the questions like this. All of your questions for today are all going to be about cosine. So the only button you're going to use today is the cos button. So you should always have the sides A and H in all of your questions. All right, you go ahead and try those and let me know if you have any questions. All right, bye.